Okay. So the SARS interface is basically a facility where you can connect to directly to the SARS e-filing web service. And this service is made available to selected software vendors. It is essentially the same connection that the e-filing website uses. So the e-filing website will use the web service to operate. So in other words, to submit its returns from there. In the same way, Taxplanner is able to connect to the web service and request and submit information via that service. So there's a couple of things that you need to have in place before you can use the service. Obviously, firstly, you'll need an e-filing login. So in a login that you would normally log into e-filing with. And then if I can just open the help document at this point, just to work through that process. Let's just scroll down to the bottom here. Okay. So on your e-filing profile, if you log into e-filing on the e-filing website and you click on organizations, and then on the left, the drop-down organizations, there's an option for ISV activation. Okay. If you click on there, it will open up a little window that has some of your detail there. The only thing that you need to check is the ISV application that is selected here. If you're wanting to use Taxplanner to interface with SARS, then you need to mark, or you need to select Taxbox as your ISV application here. Once that's selected, it will generate a unique login key. This login key will look something like this here. It's like a little encrypted string of characters. And this login key is unique to your profile and ISV application that you've selected to use on your profile. Okay, so you'll need this login key and you'll need the login ID. So the login ID is the login ID that you would log into e-filing with. So it's usually a portion of your name or surname and a bunch of numbers usually, and then the login key. Okay, once you have those two values and you've set this up on your e-filing profile, so you've selected Taxbox and you've set this up on your e-filing profile, you can then go and set up your profile in Taxplanner. So the way we do that, just close this. If you click on SARS Connect, right, that's the last button on the toolbar at the top there, it will open up the SARS Connect functionality, and the first thing it will ask you is to select your SARS profile. So if you have one set up, then you select it from the list. If not, then you'd click Insert, and you then fill in the detail here. So if I can just go through that, the profile name, that has no validation. You can call it whatever you want to. That is just a Taxplanner ID for this profile. Okay, so you can call that profile 1, for example. Okay, the user ID, that is the login or the user login for your e-filing profile. So that would be, if I can open up the help document again. So that would be this value that displays next to the login. So there'll be a value sitting there. It will be your e-filing login. That would be the value that you specify here. Close this under the user ID. Okay. And then the login key would be that encrypted string of characters that you saw below that. Okay. Very important that these things are exactly right. If they are one character out or there's a space somewhere in between, then your login will fail. but I'll demonstrate that now. Vendor code, that's populated for you. The application key, that is a unique key that is generated for your instance of the application. So every application that runs that connects to the SARS interface has a unique ID that is generated on the first time that you log into the SARS interface, and that will get populated for you automatically. Okay, so the first time you set this up, you leave that blank. That will get generated automatically. So it should look something like this. Okay, this is just a test one. So that will be your login ID. That will be the login key that is generated. And an application key will then get generated for you once you connect for the first time. And it's usually a long string of numbers and characters. So this is invalid. If something should go wrong with your initial login and you have a value in here that looks something like that, you can clear the value. So let's say, for example, you had a error on your user ID and something went wrong and it generated the incorrect application key. You can come in here and clear the application key. That's what that little red X is for. And just leave it blank. If it's blank, when you connect, it will regenerate that application key. Okay. So once you have the profile set up and you click on that SARS Connect button on the top, let me just do it again. So you go SARS Connect, it asks you for which profile do you want to use. I want to use the live one. Say select, and then it will open up the interface screen. So there's a couple of things here. On the top there, it shows you which profile that you've selected to use for this session. It has a connect button. It has the connection status, which currently says disconnected, and it has the remaining session duration. So in other words, how much time have I got left for this particular session once it becomes active? Okay, then we have three tabs at the bottom here. We have the log screen, and that essentially just logs whatever transaction happens between your application and the SARS web service. You have an action queue that will become available once you have a successful connection. And you have the IT12 returns tab. So once you import an IT12 or you submit an IT12, there will be an entry on this list with those actions and a copy of the IT12 that you've received or submitted. Okay, so once you have everything set up and your details are correct, your login details are correct, you can go ahead and click connect. It will go through a bunch of steps, and if your details are correct, it will say login successful, and it'll show a little green box there that says that you are connected. You'll also notice that a timer has started the moment I connected. Each session, the moment you connect, is valid for 30 minutes. Now, this is a SARS security measure. It's to circumvent, people leaving their sessions open and clogging up the server. So they've limited the session to 30 minutes. If the time should run out, it will just disconnect, and you just need to click the button again to reconnect and restart another 30 minutes. So you have 30 minutes to interact with SARS at a time. Once you have successfully connected, you'll see that the action queue has become available. Now, the action queue is where all your actions take place. When you're going to be requesting information or submitting information to SARS, this is where it's going to happen. Okay, one other thing to note before I get into the functionality, the moment I connected, or the moment I opened the SARS Connect screen and I selected the profile, you'd notice that the list on the left, my taxpayer list on the left, disappeared. That is because I have no taxpayers, or none of my taxpayers are linked to the profile that I've selected to use for SARS. Now, that linking, that's got nothing to do with your SARS linking. That's just a Taxplanner link. So whatever profile you've got set up, let's just go to the profile setup quickly. You can access it from the options button here. practitioner profile. Whatever practitioner profile you've got set up here, your taxpayers needs to be linked to that profile. So at the moment, my taxpayers are not linked to any profile. So if I look at the detail on that taxpayer, I go to tax info, there's a profile name here and it's blank at the moment. So that means it's not linked to any of the profiles that I've set up. So the way that you link them is there's an option here that says link practitioner profile to your taxpayer. So if I click on that option, you will have an option to select the profile from the ones that you've set up. So I'm going to say select that one and then click link. So this applies to the selected taxpayer that you have selected on the left here. So I say link and yes, and then that taxpayer, Jimmy James, will now be linked to that particular profile. So if I now go to open my SARS interface and I select that profile, you'll see that that taxpayer is now available for me to transact on. Okay, so let's just connect again. Right, my action queue is available now again. The first thing that you would want to do the first time that you connect to SARS is click on the taxpayer list button. The taxpayer list is essentially a function that returns all the tax reference numbers that's linked to your tax practitioner profile. So whatever tax practitioner profile that you've set up here, right? So if you set up your tax practitioner profile here with that user ID, so in other words, your e-filing profile, whatever tax reference numbers are linked to that profile on your SARS profile, it will bring that through on this list. Okay, so all the tax reference numbers that you see here, those are all linked to that particular profile that I'm connecting with now. Now, at this point, SARS does not make available much information. They only give you the tax reference number and they give you the internal ID, their internal IDs that they use to identify the taxpayer. Okay, so once you're able to see all the tax reference numbers here, you have the option to import that particular reference number into your Taxplanner database. So the first thing to note is that on the far right here, there's a column with a little checkbox. If that checkbox is not checked, it means that this reference number does not exist in your Taxplanner database. Okay. It could mean that you've captured the taxpayer, but you haven't filled in his reference number yet. Or it could mean that you haven't captured the taxpayer into Taxplanner yet. So that checkbox just means that this reference number doesn't exist in Taxplanner. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and choose one and just show you how to import it. Let's just go down to 35, right? So you select the reference number that you want to import. And like I said, at this stage, we don't know the name and surname. So I'm just going to call it test and test and say add to database. Okay, so now what it's done is it's gone and taken the information that you've selected here and it's inserted a taxpayer in my Taxplanner database. And you can see that checkbox is now ticked, which means that this reference number exists in Taxplanner now. But we've only just imported the reference number. We have no other detail on that record. So the way that we draw in the rest of the information is via the IT12. So in other words, once you have that record sitting there, you can request the IT12 for that particular taxpayer record. We have enough information to be able to request the IT12. So the way you do that is there's a request return button here, which you'd click on, and then a sub option below that that says request IT return, which we'd click on. Now, when you do that, and that was actually quite quick, there's a couple of things that could happen. It could tell you that it's unavailable, which means that your request has been been submitted for processing, but it hasn't been processed yet. So if that happens, then it'll give you a status of unavailable. And if you open the detail of that response, it will tell you that the entry has only been, it will only be available in 24 hours or something to that effect. If that should happen, just give it a few minutes and try it again. It doesn't take 24 hours to come through. It's quite a bit quicker than that. It's just that the SARS systems, they get requests from all over, so they periodically run processes to process requests. And if you are in a queue for a later process, it just means that you need to try it again until it says status received. Okay, so once you've received it, you'll see that on the IT12 returns tab, the actual IT12 exists. So that would be the IT12 record. Now, if I click on the view detail, let me just go there quickly. If I click on view, it will open up the IT12 for this particular taxpayer. Now, this is live data, so I can't show you the detail because it belongs to somebody, and I'd be contravening all kinds of laws if I show that. So I'm gonna just to give you an indication of what you would see is, if you click on that button, it will open up a window with the entire IT12 information in it, and you would have the ability on that window to draw information in from that record. So I'm going to do that off screen and then just show you what the end result is. Just going to select all the personal data and update Taxplanner. Say yes. So I've just imported the information from SARS into that Taxplanner's record. So if I go out of here and I refresh that taxpayer, you'll see that there's a new taxpayer there that was actually the test taxpayer that we've just updated with the IT12 information. So it's brought through all the information from the IT12 and it's overwritten the information in your Taxplanner database. Yeah, as I said, I can't show you all the detail because of we'll be infringing on that person's right to protection of his data. So that is essentially how you would draw information in using the interface. Okay, submitting information. So once you have that information drawn into Taxplanner, you have that record available now to work in Taxplanner. So in other words, you can go and capture or import or change the financials that you brought in from the IT12. And once you're happy that everything is correct and ready, and then you can go and submit the return directly from Taxplanner as well. So if I just connect here again, go into the action queue, and I click submit, and then it'll take the information that you've captured in Taxplanner and it will submit that information as though you've submitted it via e-filing. So it'll be directly submitted to the e-filing web service. And if it was successful, you'll get it in your action queue, you'll get a message saying that it was successful. If it says queued, then just leave it as such because it means that it's been placed into the queue for processing. And then you can just come in at a later stage, give it a couple of hours to process, and then you can check it again by coming in and clicking on the request return button and saying status of submission. If you click on status of submission, it will obviously tell you if it's failed, queued, or submitted. You can view, this thing is in the way here, view the full response if you click on the detail of that particular error. So for this particular one, it says the return has not been found for that particular record. That's why it's failed. If it was successfully submitted, it will tell you that the submission has been successfully submitted. I wonder if I can, maybe for one of the others, um, just want to show you what that screen looks like. Okay, so what I've done was I took our little test subject, and I've created a mock return. So that what that does is it creates a little submission file that is ready for submission, but it hasn't submitted it to SARS yet. It's just for you to check if the values are in the right format before you actually do the submission. So when you click on the view button, okay, what you will see when, let's say for example, you've let's go to this one. You've received the IT12, right? So if I check here, then I'll see that under the import, I have received the IT12. If I click on the view button for this record, a screen that is similar to this one, let's go back there, will appear. Okay, so it will have three tabs. It'll have the wizard options, which will show you which options are captured for this particular taxpayer. That's based on what you've captured. It'll show you the personal details, and it'll show you the IT12 details. Okay, everything that's been captured. Now, you have the ability to import on this screen. So in other words, if you select the detail here, so you'll have a value column, and on that particular screen, on the import, you'll have another column here that shows you the tax planner values, and you'll have a button on the top that says update tax planner detail, and whatever you've got selected will then update to the tax planner database. Okay, so whatever value is here will then overwrite the value that is in Taxplanner for that item. So in other words, for name, if you don't have a name, then the name will update in Taxplanner with this value, and the same for all the other entries in this list. So once you have the IT12, then you can update all the information that the IT12 provides into your Taxplanner database, like we did for this one. Okay. And that is how you get information into Taxplanner. The submission is the same as I just did now for the mock. It will just generate the file like it has done here, but it will also submit the file to the e-filing web service. And that is essentially the SARS interface in a nutshell. There are a couple of other functions that you can do here. You can register new tax payer profiles by using the register function. You can also request for a correction. So if you've submitted a return and you need to make a correction, you can request that correction from here. You can also request a tax calculation. So in other words, if you have a taxpayer's details captured and you want to check the tax calculation that Taxplanner is done, then you can do that via the tax calculation facility here. So in other words, this will then submit the values to SARS for calculation, and you'll get returned, or SARS will return the calculation based on the information that you've submitted. And then and then obviously you can submit returns in the same way by clicking this button. Yeah, there are other features in the system that we didn't show purely because of time constraints. But if you have any questions, we have a dynamic team that'll answer them for you. I'm not sure if I'm part of that team. And as I said before, the system is continually evolving. So we consider our clients' input with everything. So if you have an idea that something could work better, let me know. It will end up in the system in future releases as well. Yeah, so if I can just do this again. Oh, it was too far. I think we can have that quick break, and then I'm going to pass back over to Roselle, and then we can go into the QA and see if there's any questions we can address. So Rizal, I'm going to pass over back to you. Thanks for listening.
Well, thank you very much, Rizal. Thank you very much for that thoughtful presentation. I think we can all agree that there were quite a lot of functions and functionalities that we didn't know about, which we know about now. And I hope that this presentation will enable you to manage your tax planner profile and your tax planner information a lot better. We do have a few questions. I don't know. We've been busy for quite some time. Um, I did make a note of a few questions. There's only about two or three. The others, I think we can assist the clients personally. I think it's got to do with the SARS e-filing interface. Maybe we could put them or assist them through TeamViewer. But one of the things that came up was the S10 exemptions.
Uh, any other questions in
Okay,
the
maybe we
meantime?
can just move on to the next one so long until I can sort out Gert. Then there was also a question around the code 4214, which is other, which is, I suppose, for your business income, sole proprietors and rent for rental properties. I think Natalie wanted to know how do we put in unique numbers for specific rental properties. I think that reference number that you were referring to. Can you
Okay,
assist with that?
I'm gonna start up the system quickly if I can. Close this thing. Okay, so we are talking about rental income.
Yes.
Okay, and the
Well,
question is,
rental properties, rental properties.
yeah, you wanting to specify a different code, as in a different SARS code.
It says the question was how to put in unique numbers for sole proprietors or rental properties.
When you say unique numbers, I'm not exactly
Natalie, can
sure
you specify for us a bit? Can you
if I
maybe just
understand.
elaborate? Yeah, Natalie, can you just elaborate on what exactly it is?
Hello, I'm here now. Can you hear
Oh,
Hi,
me?
good.
hi,
Hey,
Faz.
well,
Hey,
save for the bell.
eventually, eventually.
Thanks for joining.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay.
Okay,
So, Gert, we had a question on
Sh-
S10 exemptions. Where do
Okay,
we?
maybe as I just want to ask, who is it, Mohammed, that
Yes.
asked the S10 exemption question as well. Um, Maybe I'm not 100% sure what he would like to be able to do regarding the S10 exemption. But just to inform Razan, give him a little bit feedback. Razan, it is about the foreign employment income exemption of the 1.25 million. If have we ever had a query like that, or and has it been built into
I,
tax
I,
planner
ac-
yet?
I actually have no idea what you're talking about. um,
Okay,
so, so I think maybe we
it's
should discuss that in a bit more detail because
all right.
yeah, I've got
And
absolutely no clue what you're
it's
referring to.
okay, no
Uh,
problem at all. If Mohammed maybe can just drop us an email of how exactly or what he wants us to maybe elaborate on a bit, and then we can discuss him more in
yeah, we
detail.
can we can see
And
if the system caters for whatever it is that he's
Okay.
correct.
requesting. Yeah.
I've made a note here so I can reach out to him. Can we move on to I think the screen that you've got there, I think that is what Natalie and Belinda was talking about, the unique
Yes. So
identifier code when you've
is
got
this
rental income. I think
so
that's
so
it.
is this unique number just for you to identify that particular entry? Then I know that when you click on rental income and you go into that screen for the first time, it does generate a generic description, but you can overwrite that. So you can take that out and you can put your unique number in there.
Hmm.
Let's
So
just
it's a
capture this one.
12-digit number, they say.
Okay, so
Yeah.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay,
Okay, cool.
and we can, yeah, capture the detail for that.
Okay.
Let's just go through the Just want to show you what it looks like on the screen. Whatever. And
And
save.
another thing, if I can
So
just jump in here,
yeah, sure.
if you wanna have, or if you have another one with another unique number, you just go to rent income and add it as a different one. If
Correct.
I'm
Yes.
correct saying that.
Correct. Yes. So if you want to be able to identify that particular record by the unique number that SARS issues, you can put that number in the description. So let's just select that one that we just added there. But you're not limited to just putting that number in. So if you want to put in an extra description, like whatever, along with that number, then you can do that as well. So it'll give you the entire description with the unique ID that SARS has issued.
Okay.
Okay, I'm not sure about
So
what you're
Natalie's
referring
saying
to on that.
the description is different from
Yeah.
the unique number, and you would normally
Okay.
include both on the ITR 12.
Okay. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'll just have a chat with my contact at SARS that I
Clause,
deal
yeah.
with, and just find out from him if there's an additional number that we need to be supplying to them in terms of the interface. But at the moment, we are supplying according to their specification.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've got no record of a 12-digit number that needs to be supplied when you submit the IT12. But I'll
Okay.
make some investigations. I've made a note of it, so I will follow up on that.
Okay. And then the last question also for Natalie was about code 4214 other. Is that the business income code? 4214, yeah. So the profit and loss codes for business, sole traders. So I have advised on the chat that you would capture the business income and expenses under that tab. And then obviously, depending if it's a profit or a loss, it will generate the code under income or deduction. Am I right?
It will,
So
if it's a
you
loss,
would,
it usually comes through as a negative income, if I'm not mistaken.
oh,
Yeah, if it's a loss.
yeah.
But I think the question is that related to the actual code that we are using for business income, 4214.
No, I think she just said she made a mistake. It's code 5214 on the IT3B. Is that the
No,
tax-free interest
no, it came back as
on bank?
4214 there. She's updated
Oh,
the message to say
oh, sorry,
4214.
I'm a bit slow.
Yes.
Sorry.
83 code.
All right.
So yes, that would be the amount that gets pulled through to 4214. I assuming I'm not an expert on these codes, so if you feel that the code that we are using there is not applicable to that entry, then I'll go and investigate it further. But that is how I got it from the initial specification that business income gets allocated to 4214.
Natalie or Roselle and Raza, I had a look, and under the income section on the main screen, if you add, there is a number listed of 4214 as well. If there's an IT3B or a certificate with a specific value. So, Rosai, if you can just maybe go to the cursor and add a income.
Yeah.
And search for the 4214.
Okay, you're
there
talking
would
about
be,
these values here.
That's correct. There
Okay.
is other receipts and accrue, if that is what Natalie is referring to, because she
Oh, I see.
mentioned
Okay.
she mentioned in her question other.
Oh, she
Yeah.
says thanks.
Okay. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, so Natalie
Okay. Yes.
sorted.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Okay.
Then we had a question from Johan. He said,
Yeah.
when you were doing the provisional calculations, he was asking, does the system also calculate the penalties and interest when you put in the submission date, obviously, and it's past the due date? It will calculate the penalties and interest, right?
It does calculate based on certain values that's been set up in the system. Yes, like the interest rates and I think there's a penalty per month. that you late. So it uses those values to calculate the penalties and interest.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's those red numbers. If you just
Yeah.
close
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
blank, yeah,
Okay.
Close.
on the
Yeah.
screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Based
Cool.
on the
So we've
date.
handled that one. Then we've had a question: how do we pull the names and surnames from the SARS e-filing interface? I think the reason why we didn't show that is because of the privacy that we're trying to honor.
Yeah.
So I
Let
have
me.
advanced theory that we can help him with on TeamViewer to
Yes.
maybe then
So
deal with these
yeah,
particular profiles.
if I can just mention, we are displaying the name and surname of that particular person whose details we were busy with. Um, I'm just going to click on a different one and just show you what the screen looks like. So this is test data that we're busy with here. Um, so that particular one we drew in, that's live data. That's the one that we actually drew in when I demonstrated the import from the IT12. This one is a mock that I've just created. So in other words, that screen that you will see when you click on the IT12 once it's received will look something similar to this screen. Okay, it's exactly the same. It will just have another column here showing you your tax planner values. So this value column that will contain the values from SARS, what SARS has issued. And the second column will contain the value that Taxplanner has. And then you'll have the ability to select whatever you want to update, which includes the name and surname and initials and ID number and whatever SARS is issued. And you'll be able to update that by clicking on that little button that will be available on the view of that IT12. And then that will then go and update your Taxplanner details from the IT12.
Okay. Okay, I hope that answers the question. We also had another question from Sharon. She said
Yeah,
that they do not know now what to do with the view screen. So I think it's the same principle
it's the
as
same
Terry.
question. Yeah,
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 I think we can assist her also via TeamViewer. I've made a note so that we can just help her
yeah.
to work with her own live data.
Yes.
And then Karen was asking us on SARS, when you
Hmm.
refresh, it brings a new IRP5 onto the IT12 form. So how will this happen if I've already captured partial information on tax planner and now become aware of another IRP5 that was only issued after I draw info from SARS into Taxbox?
Okay. The import of information from the IT12, it does not overwrite your data in Tax Planner. So let's say, for example, you've got information captured here, and you decide you want to import information from SARS. It's not going to overwrite the detail that you've got here. It's going to create new entries. So if you've got information that's additional that you don't have here, you can remove the ones that's been imported and just keep the imported one that was additional. If I don't know if that makes sense. So in other words, you've sorted out all the other information. You realize afterwards that there's another additional IRP5 that SARS has. You go and import the information. You'll have a whole bunch of imports here. In other words, duplicates of the two that you've done. Delete the two duplicates and keep the one that's additional. So it doesn't overwrite the information that you've captured in Tax Planner. It creates new import records.
Okay. I hope that answers your question, Karen. If you need any assistance, please do contact us. Then I've got a question here from Karen De Beer. I can't find
Yeah.
the source code 3920. Can you see the question there?
3920. That
Retirement
is
lump sum calculator.
okay. That is a calculator. Our lump sums are captured via calculators. So let me just check if we've captured one. Have we? No.
Yes, there, lump there.
Where?
Lump, just go down.
Three
Go
nine
down a
two
bit.
zero. So
Yes,
yeah.
the
So
withdrawal.
these codes gets populated for you. So your lump sums you capture via the calculator,
Yes, on the
and when
right.
you click save, these codes gets generated for you.
Hmm. Just open up the lump sum calculator again for Karen on the right.
Sure. There's a little button on the right here.
Yeah.
That'll open
Okay.
up your lump sum calculator where you capture the lump sums, and then the codes are generated for you.
Yeah.
So once you click save on this window, it will generate the 3920 lump sum code for you.
Yeah. Okay. Does that help you, Karen? Okay. If there's any other questions, guys, please let us have it. Oh, there's one. Is it best to export information from e-filing first, then add any additional information?
Ye-
Bizarre.
yes, I think so. I think
I'll say that as well. I'll say
it's
that's
probably
yes.
best to import the
Yeah.
information from SARS and then tune it from there.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's rather be safe than sorry, eh?
Mm.
Okay, cool.
The thing is, if your information is incorrect that you want to import to SARS, it's going to give you an error.
Yeah,
So rather export it from SARS to Taxplanner first.
yeah. Then you know you're using the correct base of information.
Okay. All right. That's all the questions that I have that I've written down from the chats. I don't see there's someone typing. Let's see if it's a question.
The anticipation.
Yeah.
Maybe I should
I
log off
suppose
before it comes
sometimes
through.
yeah, I suppose that sometimes it's difficult to write the long
Yeah.
detail.
No RP5 or other info is pulling in.
Mm.
Okay. I think we should probably team viewer
Can we
into that
help? Yeah.
client
Sharon, we're
and
going to
then
help
see what's
you.
happening.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
and
we
let's
should just help her with
just
TeamViewer.
maybe let us know if there are any errors that's being returned from SARS, or if it's just no detail on the RP5. Capital gains.
Mm.
Okay.
Oh, there's a question. Are you able to email clients from Taxplanner?
Email, yes, you can. If there's an email address that's been specified under your contact info. So let's just make that Rosal at Taxbox today. Save that. So on the selected taxpayer, you'll see the email address comes up on the summary screen there that we've just typed in. You can just click on it and it will open up your default email client. Mine is now obviously Microsoft Express. And you'll be able to use your default client to email the client, but you can use Taxplanner as your interface into that client.
Okay. Okay, so we're just going to show the capital gains again.
Capital gains.
Then,
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Capital gains. I'm going to add a new one. Okay. Is there anything specific that we need to
show?
speak about here?
He didn't mention anything,
no,
so
you can tell us now.
The standard letters, yes, that that has been removed. There has been one or two requests to bring it back, so we are considering bringing back those standard letters. The reason why we left it out in the new platform is that because everything was now online and these letters were becoming sort of obsolete. I'm speaking from a perspective that was given to me. That was the reason we decided to not bring it onto the new platform. But like I said, there has been one or two requests to bring that back, so it is on the list. So you would probably see it come back slowly in the new versions as we release.
Cool. All right, so Natalie's saying she just wanted to see the old info that we've captured. So maybe if you just want to open up the existing tab that you've created. I think you... Yeah. So the house, how many did you capture? You actually
No,
captured
I just captured the one.
the
So
one, the house.
if I can just draw the report, then you can see the
Rosa,
detail. Yeah,
Rosa,
yeah,
maybe capture an investment, let's say
capital gain.
proceeds and
Okay.
base cost for shares sold from Alan Gray or something like that.
Okay, shares. I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing here, but okay, I'll do that.
No, that's it's the same as the house.
Okay, let's make it 3 million.
Okay, now I
Is there?
understand what
Is
you're saying, Natalie, because I was also worried. We're in the 2020 tax planner, but the dates are 2021. I think that is what she
oh,
wanted
that's
to
yeah,
see. That was
that's
also,
current dates. So that date
yeah.
is
So
based on
those
your
dates,
current um
yeah,
dates. So you need to make sure that those dates are correct.
yeah.
I just
So
Yeah,
put in random
just
dates.
random dates. Okay.
Yeah. So obviously
Does that
the
answer your question, Natalie? That we are
obviously if you
looking to
are
the
in
future.
if you are in the 2020 tax year, then these dates would make a bit more sense. But the
Yeah.
calendars are based on your machine date. So I've just
Okay.
captured. I can change that to
No.
2020. You know,
All right. No,
if
look,
need be.
yeah,
I also saw that, but I thought, look, it's. I understand you have to work in that
Yeah.
period, so
Yeah.
March to Feb 2020. So,
Okay.
but yeah, good.
Um,
Thank you for picking that up, Natalie.
okay. Anything else I need to capture? It's not a
just
residence.
the,
It's a
that
financial
is correct.
instrument.
That's
Okay.
all you have to do.
Okay. And save.
Yes.
Okay. You'll see that it would have brought that through there as
There we
well.
go. All right.
And the two
And
million exemption isn't
Pension.
included. That's it.
yeah,
No,
so
there we
that's
go.
essentially what it looks like if you look at them together.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Great stuff. I see someone else is typing a message. Yeah.
Nice to
So
see.
yeah, Sharon is asking about the comparative.
Can you work on a function where you can pull a report with last year and this year's figures? Okay. At the moment, no,
Yeah.
you can't. The easy answer is no. At the moment, the reports are only per
Financial year.
logged in tax year. So if you logged in as 2020, the reports will apply to that. The fact that we have the data in the same database, however, is our first step towards that you're asking now. So in other words, we have the data in the same database and we have the ability to draw those reports. We just haven't written them yet. So yeah, that would also be on the list to do. I'm not exactly sure how we will fit it into the menu structure, but the data sits in the same database, so we do have the ability to do that. I can probably write something very specific for you as a client outside of Taxplanner because the data sits in the same database. But yes, it would be possible to do in future. It's not like the legacy system where you have data sitting in completely different databases and they're completely apart from each other. The tax year data sits in the same application. So if I want to go to 2021, I just click on it here and select 2021. It's the same database. So yeah, just keep watching the versions. We may be bringing out reports like that in the future.
Yeah, you might have to now that you've shared the possibility with
Yeah,
everybody.
say too much.
Yeah. All right, guys. I think we've been busy for quite a while. If there's any questions, other support questions, you're more than welcome to email us or phone us. I do want to end off just by saying thank you for joining us today. Tax Planner is one of our superior products and in the market today as well. It's just more affordable to similar products out there. I can assure you. What sets us apart is that our clients receive support from real humans. Our turnaround time is immediate to 24 hours, but it's more likely the former. We can't be basically sitting in anticipation waiting for a support query to come through. We are constantly improving our software. We always encourage and embrace any changes and enhancements that our clients put forward to us or to make their lives easier, we always consider that. And our service is personal, and the majority of our clients stay with us, has been with us from inception. So once we get a client, we keep them. The last thing that I want to mention is just our latest project. And, with the whole COVID 19 and the shift where everybody's now seeking online interventions, we're now in the testing phase of introducing our software at the point of learning. So we are testing our software at the moment at a university where we are making it available to students studying tax, not just to enrich their lives with the knowledge of how the software works, but also to give them a bit of a stepping stone for when they start the articles or when they embark on their working career. So very exciting times ahead for us, and we're really looking forward to putting our software in the cloud. But that is all from us, and I hope to see you guys or speak to you guys in the future, and I hope that you have a wonderful afternoon further. Rizal, Gert, anything else that you would like to add?
No, I think from me, just thank you for spending the past, what was it, 3 hours listening to me.
Yeah.
I apologize again.
You don't have an annoying voice.
No, I apologize again for the nasal voice. It's probably going to be gone in the next 5 minutes. But thank you for listening to me, and we look forward to helping you in the future.
Okay, don't worry. We'll send you the recording as well as the notes, the manual that we've actually edited a little bit to add in some new feature. Thanks very much. Thank you for the kind words, Natalie. Thanks, you guys. See if somebody else wants to thank us, maybe, or I'm hoping.
Putting people under pressure.
Oh, great.
Okay,
Thanks,
excellent.
sir. Thanks.
Here we go.
Yeah, people are loving us. Oh, well, the software. Cool. Oh, thank you.
Brilliant.
All
Okay,
right.
now we're gonna have to keep the webinar
Sorry,
open for another hour.
Mona Lisa, I didn't forget about you. You said you had a problem with reconnecting to e-filing for the second time. I have made a note that we're going to contact you and help you via TeamViewer. All right. So sorry, I forgot to mention that. I didn't skip you. Okay, Mona Lisa.
Mr. Leader, glad to see you here.
Hello, Mr. Leader. All right. Thanks, guys. I just want to give everybody a chance to say their thanks. Okay, no, there you go. All right, guys, I'm saying goodbye. All the best. Have a great afternoon. Bye from Taxbox.